I think maybe it's time to show the party of racism what's actually racist and what's actually not racist. Without much further ado, let's get into it. Hardly a day passes that the Communist Party of America, Democrats, just doesn't apply to some of these people any longer. They're still slandering Republicans as racist and bigoted, and yet they're race baiting, and they do it every single time they can. Why is Trump targeting Iran's nuclear facilities? Racism. Why is Trump lowering taxes? Racism. Reparations. Why is Trump removing illegals and invaders? Well, obviously bigotry and racism, of course.
Yes, we will say people are xenophobic, because when you start to decide that just because somebody came from another country, they are automatically some kind of criminal, that does sound kind of xenophobic to me, because you are using a paintbrush to paint an entire group of people where the vast majority of them are coming here because they are actually seeking a better life.
Sorry, Jazzy Jazz. Seriously, believe it or not, it's not just that woman, Jasmine Crockett, spreading that lie. Apparently removing violent gangbangers from your country, well, that's just plain old racist.
Isn't about Tren de Aragua. This is about continuing to equip Trump with tools to execute his anti-immigrant agenda. That's unfortunately what this bill is actually going to do. Tren de Aragua has become a dog whistle to justify every racist, xenophobic action this administration wants to take, particularly against Latino men.
Well, you know what? Removing those who break our laws, enter our country illegally, or overstay illegally is actually not all that racist. But you know what is racist? Basing your hiring practices only on race.
You just said that you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices.
I don't know. There's going to be a transcript of this hearing. I didn't say that in that way.
Okay, why don't you explain what you believe?
What I
Very
said
briefly.
and what I believe is that the demographic composition of workplaces,
Which
our
is,
nation's military, and so on, our Congress ought to reflect the diversity of the United States of America.
Racial demographic composition. Racial demographic, is that what you're saying?
Racial, gender.
Okay, so race should be a factor in employer hiring practices.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and call that racist. Oh, and you know what's also not racist, or in this case, not bigoted, when Pete Hegseth uses a known general phrase like our boys in bombers, but the leftist media just can't help themselves.
When I say something like our boys and bombers, see, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Of course, the chairman mentioned a female bomber pilot. That's fantastic. She's fantastic. She's a hero. I want more female bomber pilots. I hope the men and women of our country sign up to do such brave and audacious things. But when you spin it as, because I say our boys and bombers as a common phrase, I'll keep saying things like that, whether they're men or women. I'm very proud of that female pilot, just like I'm very proud of those male pilots. And I don't care if it's a male or a female in that cockpit, and the American people don't care, but it's the obsession with race and gender in this department that's changed priorities, and we don't do that anymore. We don't play your little game.
That's not racist. Can he just say it? I mean, you guys got on, you have a Hegseth derangement syndrome. Oh, and you know what else is kind of racist, by the way, liberal Democrats? Telling Republicans that they can't mention Martin Luther King Jr. anymore.
I want to be clear that 4 out of the 5 of you last year posted on your social media the words of Dr. King. And there are so few folks who actually have studied, who are clear on the theology of freedom of King. Very few of you have read and studied and have sat in Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I would ask you, you keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth.
One else is racist. Congressman Mark Pocan from Wisconsin telling Stephen Miller, who is Jewish, by the way, to, quote, go back to the 1930s Germany for telling the truth about how mass migration is absolutely ruining America. Oh, and speaking of ruining America, you know how New York City suddenly really wants socialism? A step closer to electing a Marxist as its mayor? Well, this race-baiting lib claims that Mamdani won the primary because of how does she put it again here? Brown people of New York voted for him. Interesting. The facts and numbers say otherwise. And around here, we really do like facts, numbers, and actual data. Fact. Zohran Mamdani lost the black and the brown vote in New York. Sorry. Numbers. white and Asian voters handed Mamdani his win. They made up the predominant portion of his votes, and those are the numbers right there, lady. Well, here's another fact. Mamdani won that primary because of spoiled, entitled, bratty rich kids who can't find jobs to pay for their $5,000 per month New York City rent with their barista jobs, because they're finding out that a degree in basket weaving in the 15th century, I guess it doesn't really exactly keep lights on in the house in those roach-infested Lower East Side apartments you're sharing with 3 other Ivy League dudes. And in case you're not feeling sorry enough for New York City, here's the so-called future of the Democrat Party, AOC, celebrating the Marxist jihadist big win. Also, this is really long, that really long hug. Hey, you two, get a taxpayer-funded, only migrants hotel room, will you? And speaking of that race-baiting baby Marxist jihadist, he's deleted this old tweet from 2020 now, but the internet lives forever. Remember that? And we won't let him forget that he tweeted that this thing right there by saying, quoting, the New York NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. So yeah, good luck with that guy, New York. And of course, right on cue, the party of racism has decided that being against the jihadist who wants to turn New York City into Cuba to become mayor of New York City is about what? Yep, race. They play the race card. Always. And the Communist Party of America, they love it. You can always rely on them for one thing and one thing only. And yes, the answer is always a nice, big, old, heaping cup of racism.